my name is Rachel Miller, and this video is a project for the BUSA 3000 International Business course I am taking. For this project, I will be discussing overcoming barriers to cross-cultural relations with a concentration on the United States and Spain. Today, international business and cross-border interactions are very common. This gives many opportunities but also presents challenges. Barriers between the U.S. and Spain that will be discussed in this report include language barriers, time differences, and interpersonal behaviors. One of the first difficulties in conducting cross-cultural business is not knowing the language. For business between Spain and America, there could be problems if American businessmen don't speak any Spanish, and for Spanish businessmen if they don't speak any English. Efforts should be made by both sides to learn basic components of the other's language. Another issue that could create a barrier involves different word usage. Formal and informal addresses are emphasized in Spanish more so than English. Lastly, styles of communication vary between cultures in respect to direct and indirect communication. Americans typically prefer direct communication, which is spoken plainly and to the point. However, Spanish speakers use the indirect method. These forms of communication can cause challenges in cross-cultural relations. These issues present opportunities to perfect cross-cultural interactions for international business managers. To address language barriers, a solution would be to obtain factual information on the other culture and learn to speak the language. For Spanish-American relations, it would be advisable to have someone that speaks both languages doing most of the negotiations, or at least present to facilitate meetings. This would help lessen misunderstandings that could occur in not knowing another language. Another way to reduce these language barriers is to train employees on proper ways to use formal titles, which would reduce issues related to respectfulness. These solutions can provide aid to business relations on an international scale. Along with language difficulties in cross-cultural interactions, there can be barriers regarding time differences. One of the first issues related to time is the physical location of two countries. For the United States and Spain, they are located across the Atlantic Ocean from each other, and Spain is 6 hours further along in the day than U.S. Eastern Daylight Time. A company in New York would need to consider this when contacting Madrid, Spain. Another time difference is how long the workday is expected to last. In America, the workday is commonly expected to be 9 to 5. However, in Spain, work may go later in the evening when Americans would want to be going home for the day. Also, Spanish culture includes a longer lunch break or even a nap after lunch before going back to work. Lastly, a time variance between Spanish and American culture is relative versus fixed time. For business in America, time is fixed and monochronic. When a deadline is given, it's expected to be met. However, in the Spanish cultures, time is relative. Other important items may take preference, and schedules and deadlines can be changed. These types of time differences can cause issues in business interactions relating to time of day, workday expectations, and the variability of schedules. A guideline or solution for time-related challenges would be for both countries to avoid cultural biases. Ethnocentrism can cause members of one country to think less of those from another. Steering clear of this outlook can break down barriers that would otherwise prohibit successful interactions. Decrease in cultural biases can be also implemented in relation to time orientation. The way Americans work versus the time and nature that the Spanish use may be different, but not wrong. One way is not necessarily better than another. Also for these situations, applying the cross-cultural proficiency skills of flexibility and adaptability can be put into place. These skills advocate being creative, open-minded, and showing grace and kindness. Both countries can put these skills to use when working with one another to lessen barriers related to time differences. The last set of cross-cultural differences to be discussed relate to interpersonal behaviors and mannerisms. American culture encourages direct eye contact with the one in communication with, whereas Spanish upbringing teaches averting eye contact to show respect. Also, the Spanish consider personal space closer than an arm's length, while Americans prefer an arm's length distance. Also, individuals from various backgrounds learn differently. An interactive and experimental environment tends to be popular for Americans, whereas an instructor-led formal environment seems to be the norm for the Spanish. Lastly, social organization and orientation can have an effect on cross-cultural interactions. Individuality and personal fulfillment, along with challenge of authority, is common in American culture. However, harmony and centralized power are common characteristics of the Spanish culture. While conducting business meetings and interactions, it's important for both countries to realize these differences and integrate techniques that can reach over barriers that may be in place. Solutions to interpersonal behavior barriers lie in developing proficient cross-cultural skills. Working in direct contact with the culture is best, and a geocentric view generally helps business managers to be better understanding and also more accommodating of similarities and differences. Also, the proficiency skill of valuing personal relationships can be used when considering interpersonal behavior. Building strong relationships with one another can be advantageous for businesses. Understanding that Spanish people avert their eyes to show respect, have a large emphasis on relationships, and promote harmony can be useful knowledge for business interactions. Once this is realized, successful future dealings and a positive international relationship can be developed. So, in conclusion, barriers to cross-cultural relations exist. When conducting international business, companies will have run-ins related to language barriers, time orientation, and interpersonal behavior differences. However, applying solutions to each of these barriers can further improve business relations. Once these solutions are included, many difficulties can be addressed and resolved, and a successful business relationship can occur. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation and learned more about an aspect of international business. Thank you for watching.